to view this should you have to drop off, or if anybody you know, was not able to make it, they can go in and view it. Okay. So we also have Cecilia Mullen with us tonight, and Cecilia is our fantastic librarian who's, you know, indispensable in the type of support she provides students. I know she wants to say a few quick words, so I'll turn it over to you, Cecilia.
Good evening, everyone, and yes, I'm happy to help anybody and everyone in terms of your literature searching, your use of our databases, any questions that you have that have to do with finding the information that you need. And if you're running into problems, don't hesitate to send me an email and I'll get started helping you. And you'll see slides later on my email address.
Great. Thank you so much, Cecilia. Okay, I'm going to move on because I know that you're all busy working adults and we're a little pressed for time. So the first slide, basically, Eileen was talking about some acronyms. So you are cohort 317MS. The 317 stands for March 2017, MS for Master of Science. Now, why is this important? If you should call, say, Greg or Eileen or maybe Karen DeGloria in enrollment, and you have a question about maybe you're not able to see a webinar that you think you should be able to see, or maybe you can't find a syllabus for a class, the first thing that we're going to ask you is, what cohort are you a member of? And you probably wouldn't know. So you should know that you're you are a member of the 317 MS cohort. This information you're going to see it all the time throughout your year with us. It's always listed in the portal after the course number for each of your classes. So your first class is 501. It'll say 501O for online, 317 MS, and then the name of the course. Of course, if you call us and you don't remember right away, don't panic. We always have a way of looking it up, but it's just quicker for us and quicker for us to be able to get you the information you need and get you on your way if you do have this information handy, hence the slide. So, but don't panic about it. You know, we're going to throw a lot at you tonight. Don't feel like you have to, you know, memorize all of this. You pick it up over time. Okay, move on. So, lead faculty. Again, we have a lot of, you know, different terminology that we use here at NGS, and we thought it'd be helpful to let you know exactly what we're talking about. So, lead faculty. Your lead faculty is Professor Ellinger, who's going to take over in a few minutes and talk a little bit more about the meat and substance of the program. But what Professor Ellinger does is he teaches the core courses. He's going to guide you through the Master's Business Project. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but that's basically what differentiates NGS from a lot of other different programs, is that we have you complete a real-world business project so that what you learn here is actually applicable, directly applicable in most cases, to your current job or at least the job of one of your colleagues, and you'll work together in a group project on that. So Professor Ellinger will guide you through the Master's Business Project courses, or as we call them, MVP courses. So he's also going to be the key point of contact for you throughout the program. If you have a problem in another class and you know, you think you might need a little extra time, just things that come up, and we understand that. Professor Ellinger is always there to help you out. He also works with the other faculty who are teaching the other courses to make sure that things are completed on time and that things flow well. Jack Kowalczyk is our program chair, and actually I'm going to let him sort of give a little bit more of an in-depth introduction of himself and explain his role here. So Jack, I'm going to turn it over to you.
It's always helpful to unmute yourself when you try talking. I saw that I was muted. Sorry about that. Thank you, Maura. Yes, my background is in engineering and also in business. I completed my business degree a long time ago. Worked in industry for about 35 years as director of corporate quality for multiple organizations, but came up through the ranks in the quality world, starting as a quality and manufacturing engineer and then getting progressive in terms of individual contribution and then management responsibilities to ultimately get to the position of Director of Corporate Quality for a number of companies prior to retiring. I've worked with NGS since approximately 2006, actively teaching starting in 2008 or 9, and I haven't been able to compete with Ernie on managing or helping MVP teams, I'm probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, better than 65 to 75 teams that I've worked with in the number of years that I've been associated with NGS. And I always look forward to working with individuals that are studying in our program, because what we really do is take theory and turn it into an actual business practice as part of your academic program. And rather than steal some of the thunder from that, Ernie will cover it very well. But I just wanted to say thank you, and my experience has been not as an academician but as a practitioner in the area of the discipline of quality systems and management. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Okay, and now I'm actually going to turn it over to Ernie, Professor E, who's going to be your lead faculty for this cohort. And I'm actually going to let him go through the next slides, basically outlining the program that we're offering here that you signed up for and that we hope you'll be very happy with, as well as his credentials. So he'll start off with that. So turn it over to you, Ernie.
Thanks, Maura. Appreciate it. First of all, just I'm really kind of excited to start with you again. A couple of reasons is that I've been involved in quality for a long time. I actually got started when I was in the Army. They had an organizational effectiveness course. They had 6 months of school and a practicum, kind of like what you're going through. And then I've been involved with that throughout my life, and involved as an internal consultant. And then when I got out of the service, and set up small business and did consulting, and then worked for a large Fortune 500 firm as well, and involved in everything from Lean Six Sigma projects to major transformations. And my goal is to make you successful. And having gone through this process and gone through with other NGS teams, the combination of experiences that you'll get from other faculty who have, like that experience, and also working with teams, you get to see a lot what makes success looks like. And that's really my goal. Yeah, we'll be with you, and I think all the faculty, is to make you successful. And the practical application of this is not only from faculty to you and teaching and what we have. I find that the students will also share a tremendous amount. And so in addition to the faculty that's I represent, is that most of the students, when they graduate, they will look back and say, you know what, I learned a bunch from my fellow students. And that's part of the experience that I hope to facilitate and foster, is that you'll have people in your cohort from all different industries and backgrounds, and you'll be sharing that information with each other, which will make you much, much more richer than reading any book or going through just an online program that doesn't have the practical application or the diversity of students in various fields that we do. And so I learn a lot, quite frankly, and that's part of the reason I'm excited, because as many times as I've done this, is that I always come away with something new, something I didn't think about, and something that I really appreciate, and then I can take to the bank. And that's the objective, is that we're going to work on ensuring that you have individually the right knowledge, skills, and abilities, and with the practical application, the confidence to do that. And so, as I said, we'll continue the dialogue. We will have a course coming up that will give you an introduction, a little bit about that in a moment, but basically we'll have the capability to, well, have dialogue in addition to online experience where you're going in and answering discussion questions. I really welcome the opportunity for phone calls or mentoring sessions, as we call them later on, that allow us to really talk about your specific situation and the areas that you are working with. In fact, I have got some teams in another course I'm teaching right after this, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. There's a team of 3. They've been working on a project. We're going to sit down and have an ability to discuss their particular situation, their deliverables, and so that there's a tailored part of this. And in addition to the classes that you have where everyone goes through, there's really a team experience. So here is really the background and the information we'll have. We'll be meeting every Wednesday night, and everything is, by the way, Eastern time. I'm located just a little bit south of Washington, D.C., in Northern Virginia, and I'm in Eastern time zone, but for school purposes, whenever there's a meeting or whether there's any type of information, we normally just use Eastern Time. And we sometimes have students internationally in India, the Middle East, and different time zones in the U.S. So that's one of the things. We'll get together and we'll have a webinar. This is an opportunity for going over key concepts within the course. You'll have to do some reading. You will have to do some preparation. We'll talk about the assignments. It really is a forum to add voice to the material and then talk about these things that we learned in our experiences. You know, talk about not only our successes but the failures of those, which is probably even the greater learning opportunity. So we'll have a date from now for another year. So tell your significant others. You know you're not going to be seeing them for 2 hours every Wednesday. You'll have a date with this webinar. We will record these, and then we'll have the opportunity for you to review them. If you miss a webinar, we'd like for you to let me know. If you're not going to be there for some reason, we understand that you're working adults, but usually that's by exception. And so we will have this webinar, and then there'll be at times we may have what we call mentoring sessions, and that is where we get together and talk. And like just indicated, it may be within the same time that we normally have a webinar, but sometimes for convenience of the team, we may schedule outside of the normal Wednesday meetings. When you go into the course materials, one of the first things you should do, and we're going to really in this first class that we have upcoming and the orientation course, get in there and start just looking at all the different facets of what we call the portal. This is where we have the online learning materials. Our slides will be in there, the syllabus, and then there will be a portion that you will go through in a minute. We'll give you an example, is that how do you interact? There's discussion questions, there's areas to post assignments, and we'll get you used to doing that this first class that's coming up. So if you have difficulties, after you have a chance to take a look at the orientation portal and the EDU 501, which is also should have access to now, is that we want to discover what technical issues you may have, you know, how you can get into that. Be sure you're comfortable with the use of the technology as well as the materials. And there's a student handbook that you should consult. Take a look at this, the NGS catalog. It gives an outline generally of the courses and the approaches that we have. It'll give you a great set of insights about our particular learning methodology, which is really team-based. It is practical application-based, and it's a combination of webinars as well as self-study. So these are the things that we'd like to be sure you're aware of. And unless there's any questions on that, should we go to the next slide?
Okay, you know, I'll take over, Ernie. Thank you. I'm gonna. It's the slide that I posted on academic policies and requirements, if you don't mind. Okay. I love to wear my academic hat. So I reminded you about the signed learning agreement. It has academic integrity statement in there, and there's also a statement that the NGS email is the required means of communication with faculty and students. So that when you're communicating with us, we need to have you use your NGS email. This is also in the catalog and the student handbook. And as Professor Ellen just said, we want you to read the handbook instead of simply signing that statement. So I also want to remind you of the degree completion requirements. A year is going to go quickly, but sometimes things happen, and that's okay, but we need to deal with that. You need to communicate with your faculty member, with your program chair, and with myself to deal with things that happen. So I want to make sure that you understand the requirements of your degree. So you must complete the entire sequence of courses in the correct order as they are, and hopefully stay with your cohort. You are not allowed to earn a grade lower than a C. A C minus is not acceptable, and your CUME has to maintain an average of 3.0. So you can earn no more, you can only have 2 C grades, okay? And you must have a successful MVP, there's that acronym, and defend your MVP as an oral presentation in the last class, and then all the fees and tuitions must be paid in full. So, okay. Student governance, do you want to do it, Maura?
Okay, sure. I'll take over for a second, and then when we get into the meat and potatoes of the program itself and the requirements, I'm going to turn it over back to either Jack or to Professor E, whoever wants to take it. But basically, the POC, another acronym, student point of contact. So what you can do right now is start thinking about someone POC, which is going to be sort of like a class representative for the duration of the course. So, you know, say that your team has a problem or something going on. The POC would be the person who would gather all that information and come to the professor or come to academic affairs or come to Dean Sullivan with the issue so that we sort of get an accurate and informative view of what's going on. So you can always reach out to your POC with any issues you might have about a class or any issues you might have about a project or an assignment, etc. So that is the purpose of a student POC or point of contact. And again, probably during your first class, Professor E will ask you to nominate someone to be that person for your cohort. Okay, so online attendance policies. This is in the handbook that Ernie actually talked about a little while ago that you should probably download and make sure you have on hand. So weekly webinars, you have to view the webinars. If you can't attend it live, you need to view it within, we would say, about a week. So you need to view it and you have to submit a code word to the faculty. So you'll view the webinar and at the end there'll be a code word to submit to faculty to prove that you have indeed done the assignment and viewed the webinar. Online discussion forums, posts and responses are due on or before the due date as is written in the syllabus unless the professor tells you otherwise. And then on dates when you're presenting something for your master's business project, on those days every team member has to be present in order for your team to get credit. So if you don't attend when your team presents your project, you're not going to get any points for that presentation since you weren't there. Now, we do understand that you're all working adults. We understand a lot of people are in the military. We understand deployment. The best thing you can do to help us help you is let us know what's going on in advance if you think you're going to be deployed. If you think that you've got a situation coming up at work, if you've got a family situation, reach out and let us know, you know, what's going on with you so that we can be proactive and help you so that it's not a couple months down the line and you've fallen behind, because, you know, it's not fair to you and then, you know, it just makes a lot more work for everybody involved. And we'd like to get you through the program in a year as advertised, because I know that's one of the main reasons why many of you signed up for the master's program, which is just 1 year. Okay, so I'm going to move on. And actually, I'm going to turn it back over to Professor Ellinger, who is going to run the rest of the meat and potatoes section. So, Ernie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Maura. So what does this mean here is that basically is that when you go through this course, you'll learn a lot about different aspects. And if you've been involved in quality, like many of you maybe have a background into it, our course is probably a little bit different than you may have if you've gone through like a black belt or a green belt program. And we talk about strategic planning, we talk about financial courses we have supplier management, and so typically we have a pretty broad range of courses that we have. And the underlying theme, and this is the reoccurring thing, we're going to teach these various courses. You'll have an opportunity then, we'll talk about this project that will, which is where the practical application occurs. In other words, you'll be working in, typically there will be a project that will be nominated from one of your workplaces, maybe someplace one of you may have a situation at work, you would like to, a problem that needs to be improved, an opportunity that is raised, and that we will form a team around that, and then we'll focus then working in that environment, practical application. So you'll learn things in the classroom, and then we'll have this project, which typically is in one of the students' workplaces or more of the students' workplaces, and then we'll have this practical application where you can go in and actually make improvements, that you actually provide recommendations in this environment. And so the tangible aspects about this is that there will be a return on investment. You will actually provide recommendations that will enhance an organization. And so we will talk more about how this will all be formulated. If you have questions about teams and how we nominate, we'll cover that in our next course. But the bottom line is that we're looking at as you go through this course, you will say this was not just an academic exercise. This is something to develop your knowledge, skills, and abilities, but then also develop within the teams and individuals the confidence to use them in any situation, the confidence to apply what we have here. And I think that's one of the things that makes this unique. It's with the practical application, you'll have the faculty guiding you, giving mentoring, ensuring that you're on the right track. If you forgot something in the real world, if you're working on a project, initial project, well, you may get fired. Here, we look at this as learning opportunities. You know, we want you to go through and apply the things, ask questions. What did you miss? Have you thought about that? And so it's a very safe environment from the standpoint that we are applying these applications into organizations, and we will then also expect a result. And I will tell you, for every team I've ever guided, I don't think any of them have not been successful. In fact, at the end of the day, most of the students really do find that they exceeded their expectations as well as their champions, which is what someone will talk about later. Here's the process we use. We generally have the flow of the master's degree program, which is follows the Lean Six Sigma methodology of DMAIC. And we'll be at orientation, and then we'll start and go through the define phase, and we have courses then will help you to figure out what those projects are, put you into teams and what that should look like, project selection. We'll give you a course in project management, how to oversee all these type of activities. You have a measure phase where you're going to go out and actually collect data of the current state of the organization, figure out what are the problems, get your hands around those tools and techniques. And these are the courses then you'll have. They'll be kind of paralleling to that. So we'll have a performance management course. We'll talk about measurements and indicators. Strategic planning, how to make change at the enterprise level overall, will be one of the skill sets in courses that we have. We'll be back together in Master Business Process 1 is that you'll have me for the first 2 courses and where we get you set up. Then we come back in, kind of a progress check. We'll give you some instruction, but time to work on these projects. And that's going to be about that point where you start to do what we call in the DMAIC model, analyze phase. The benchmarking, which is where you would go out externally looking for their external best practices, enablers, comparative data, bring that into your project and enrich it with those findings. Then we'll come back together, have a chance to talk about this in the B2. That'll be another course that you'll have with me. We'll have then figuring out what the cost of quality is, cost of poor quality, return on investment, all those things that you need to know to be successful in the business. And we expect that each one of our projects will return a ROI. And I will say that my experience that almost all NGS teams have 6 figures of what they do. So what you choose and the projects we have, they're usually very significant not only to you but also to our champions. We'll do process analysis, which is really our lean portion of our curriculum, and supply chain management course, and then we'll be back. That's when we have the final briefing, so you do final recommendations to the champion. This is where we close out the projects and your final briefing back to the faculty about your year's journey and the tangible results that you brought. So, Jack, anything else that I missed that you would you like to cover?
I think he's actually just stepped off because he's got to teach a class. So.
Okay, great.
But I'll move on. Okay, so for your first, and thank you so much, Professor E. Appreciate it. Okay, so preparing for your first class, EDU 501. So you're going to want to review the syllabus and purchase your textbook before the first class. The syllabus is always available in the portal under course materials. We also took the liberty of providing you with a document called a book list, which has course materials, so any books and things you might need for the first semester of your classes. So you can get a jump start. A lot of times people ask, where can I buy these? Is there a specific place I need to buy them? Nope. However you can get them, the cheapest way you can get them, we're all for it. So a lot of students will use Amazon.com. Trying to think of other, you know, wherever you can find it for the cheapest, go ahead and grab it. Just make sure that it's the correct edition, etc. On the evening of the first class webinar, you want to make sure that you're there at least 15 minutes in advance, that you start the log-on process, just in case if something goes wrong with your GoToMeeting, etc., so that you don't miss out on anything. And if you have a headset, we advise that you use it because it helps minimize noise distraction and kickback. Okay, the MVP, the business project, we talked a little bit about that, and Ernie kind of went over it in some greater detail. It's one of the reasons why he loves to lead up these cohorts is to guide you through these projects. This is a real-world, tangible project which will save one of your organizations, whichever you choose, a lot of money. It's something that you can apply. It's a great learning resource for you. And throughout EDU 501, which is your first course, you're going to learn about how to select a master's business project. You're going to get acquainted with your classmates, deliver team assignments, and you're going to learn more about the Lean Six Sigma methodology and the DMAIC guide.
Do you have any other comments there?
Professor Ellinger, anything you'd like to add?
No, pretty good summary, and it's again, this will be the opportunity for you to get used to the technology and approach, and as we go through the course, is that if you have some initial problems with posting, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I'll give you my contact information at the beginning of our course. It'll be in the orientation as well. And just one other tip on the GoToMeeting. I think I put a post in your next class. There's a site that you can go to tonight or before we meet, and it'll allow you to check out your computer to see if it's compatible with GoToMeeting. So that may be a wise thing to do. So, but Mara did a great job. Thanks.
That's great. Thanks, Ernie. Okay, technology time. So basically, usually our IT director, Elaine, usually runs this. However, she's actually dealing with a technology issue right now and teaching, so she's not able to. But I'm just going to go over this briefly. Don't panic. Don't freak out. We do have a video that is available for you in the portal, which will show you how to do all this, but I'm going to run through it briefly with you. So basically, how to change your password, how to log into the portal, kind of an overview of the portal, and the orientation course. Excuse me, allergies. So how to change your password. You're going to go to www.ngs.edu. You're going to hit apply online. These slides are posted in there for you, so if you run into this issue, you can easily pull up these slides. So I'm not going to give you time to write everything down because we have it here for you. You're going to go to My Account on the black bar at the top, click on Change Your Password, and then on the right side, click Forgot Your Password. It basically brings you through all the directions to do that. And don't panic if you still can't figure it out. That's why we have Elaine, who's our wonderful IT director. You can always shoot her an email with any tech issues, and she'll be able to help you out. Logging into the portal, again, ngs.edu. You'll see it right there at the top of the page. It's in that circled area, circled in red, so your username and your password, and you're going to click in Login. So this username is the one that you created when you started your application here with NGS. If you don't remember what that is, you can always reach out to Academic Affairs Student Services, and if they're not able to pull up that information, they can go to our wonderful IT director who always has a way to figure out what we need to do in terms of tech issues. So we've had people who can't remember what the username and password is, and there have been times when I wasn't able to pull it up, and Elaine has always gotten it for us. So if you can't get in, don't panic. We'll fix it for you. The portal, so where to find your courses. So once you've logged in, it'll take you to the home screen, and on the left-hand side, you'll see a little button that says Home. Underneath that, you'll see highlighted in blue, because it's a hyperlink, a button to click to show you your past and future courses. And then underneath that, My Courses will show you your current courses. So for example, say you are in the master's program, because you are, and your next course is QSM 550. So if that's the course that you're currently taking, you would look and you would see, oh, my past courses are Orientation and EDU 501, and I'm in the third course of the semester and the program, which is QSM 550. So we try to keep it pretty basic. Again, this is all on the portal. You can download this, you can print it off, you can email us if you need help. So like I was telling you at the very beginning, the Getting Started with the Portal, that's a video that we have in your orientation site. And that will also walk you through in real time how to log in, change your password, upload a photo or change your photo, find some course information, etc. And that is also in the orientation site under Overview, Course Overview. It'll be in there. Okay, and then resources and information. I introduced you to Cecilia Mullen, who's our fantastic librarian. She is invaluable. She's a wonderful source for students. So once you get started on your MVP project, you might run into some situations where you're not exactly sure how to find the data you need or how to find the best primary source material for your report. That's where Cecilia can come in. NGS offers you a whole host of different full text and peer-authored and reviewed journals that you can access through our website. So we have ABI Inform Complete, we have EBSCOhost, we have ProQuest, dissertations and theses. So those are basically articles that weren't necessarily published, but they were research that other students conducted when they were going through their thesis or dissertation. All sorts of open access databases, large book collection. All of the virtual library resources are available in the NGS portal under the Student Resources tab. Okay, and then again, back to Cecilia, who's fantastic. Some of the things that she can help you out with are, database recommendations. Say you're looking for something very specific and you're not able to find it, or you type it in and you get, 6 gazillion hits. And you think, how am I going to go through all of this? She can help you narrow it down and find some tag words or keywords to search for, again, with the search strategies. Documentation, so, citations, how to correctly cite something in APA format. Literature review methods. What's the best way to go about showing that I've done a solid due diligence and literature review without, writing 60 pages? She can help you with that too. You can also go to her in groups. So she can help you out via a conference call or a Skype webcast to pretty much show you how to best go about gathering the data for your project that you need and anything else that might come up. She's fantastic. And then one of our last slides, as I promised you in the beginning, this is your key contact. So the Dean of Academic Affairs and Student Services, who introduced herself to you earlier, is Dr. Eileen Sullivan. She's at extension 121, and she can be reached at her email. We also had Greg Giardi, who's a wonderful point of contact. Like he said, he can help you out with something. Maybe you're not even sure what the question is you're asking. He's a great point of contact for you, and he can reach out and figure out who you should go to next and how to get you all that information. Jay Byrne is our registrar, so any issues you might have with financial aid, VA assistance, grades, transcripts, records, maybe one of your references didn't come in, you'd want to go to Jay. IT is Elaine, tech support at NGS.edu, extension 110. Cecilia is our librarian, who I just spoke so highly of. And then Karen DeGloria, who wasn't able to be on with us tonight, but she is our enrollment person. She's kind of jack of all trades, does everything enrollment related, and she's fantastic too. And I know that a lot of you have already worked with her. So at this point, what I'm going to do is open it up to question and answer. And I think, we're all going to be on the line, but I think Ernie is probably your best bet in terms of anything that is related to the program itself. And then the rest of us can answer questions that might have to do with academic affairs or where to buy textbooks and things like that. So I'll open it up to questions at this point. Any questions at all? Nothing is too, silly or don't feel like you have to know. Okay, we have a question in here. How many students are involved in an MVP? Ernie, I'm going to let you field this one. I know it varies.
Yes. First of all, it's a team project, so we usually do not have single individual students because part of our learning experience is really the interaction amongst a team. Team dynamics is something you go through literally each one of those phases. So we usually put together teams, 2 to 4, is the range of the number of students involved with the team, and so usually it's around 3 is kind of the median. I think number of students involved with the MVP.
Great, thank you so much, Ernie. Any other questions? Anything at all? Feel free to shout it out or type it in. Go ahead.
Hey, Mara, let me make a quick announcement about the GoTo meeting. Is that what you should do for our upcoming course? There's the login information for the course will be posted up in the announcements, and that will be like you logged in tonight. It'll be a link to go to, and there is a number that's associated with our meeting. That will be used for each one of the webinar large sessions that we have. So each week, you don't have to get a new login. It will be the same one. Generally, that will be for the entire course that you have, and then the next course will probably have a different login that you will have sent out to you provided by the professor. It's been also my practice. I usually email that to you as well, so that you can put the meeting reminder into Outlook or Google Appointments, whatever you have. So look for that. I'll send that out to you next week, and go into EDU 501, which is your next course, and we'll see the login for next week. I don't have it posted yet, but I will here shortly, and so that you'll be ready to log in on Wednesday. You'll have it. I generally do it no later than the Monday before the course, but sometimes a little earlier. Thanks, Barb.
Great. Thanks so much, Ernie. Okay, I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions. Anything else? Nothing is too silly. You know, this is your time to ask any questions, things that you're unclear about. And of course, if you have questions afterwards, you can always email us. We had a question about the learning agreement. That is going to come from Karen DeGloria, who is, works in enrollment, or John Alonso. But email Karen or John, and flip right back to here. So Karen kdegloria@ngs.edu, or you can give her a call at extension 125, and she'll be able to help you get the learning agreement. Okay, the last ask of you is to please, we would really appreciate it if you could take the orientation evaluations. This helps us, you know, just realize, you know, what are we doing that works, what's not working for you, how can we make orientation more helpful to you and better get you oriented and started for your year here with us at NGS. This is located in the orientation course, and if you could take it within the next 24 hours, we would definitely appreciate it. And
more, it's not long. I believe it's 4 or 5 questions. It will take you 2 minutes, and it will get you in the habit of answering your required end of course evaluation forms at the end of every course. You'll go into the portal and you'll complete an end of course evaluation form, and we value this feedback about the course content, about the faculty member, and about you know, anything that has to do with the course. So we really value your input. So my final words of advice are dive in, work hard, you know, ask for help if you need it. We're all here to help you. So seek us out if you need it. And here's a review of some of the acronyms that I wrote down. POC, AA, BBP, MS. Anyone else have any other ones?
DMAIC.
Oh, DMAIC. Excellent, excellent. All right, take care, everyone, and good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
We'll stay on for a little bit in case